Building strong relationship with your kids is all about connection, trust, and being present in their lives. In this video, we're going to share 5 simple but powerful tips that can make all the difference.
Truly listening to your kids and creating moments with them
Mhm.
can really build that closer
Yeah.
relationship and strengthen the bond. Let's dive into how we can create those moments and be intentional as parents.
Okay, today we're going to go through 5 steps to create relationships with your kids that are phenomenal.
Yeah. So, why is it important, first of all, to build those relationships with our kids?
It's not.
And we're done.
I don't know, I just sorry. Uh,
Well, I think one of the big things is we have 18 years with them,
that's all you
which
get. Well,
when you think about it when they're little seems like a long time. The
ooh,
closer you get to 18, it goes fast.
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Um, I always have made a joke since the kids were born, actually. Every single year, I've always said whatever year it was for their birthday, it was like it's only, 17 more years, only 16 more years, only 10
Mama
more
didn't
years,
like
only.
that comment.
And so
Not one
now
bit.
now we're really getting down to the end of that, closer to that. And so now it's not getting as exciting to say as it
2
once used
more
to be.
years. No.
Whoa. So, anyways,
Building
but building
relationships,
relationships with them, yeah.
you really want to think about all throughout,
Yeah.
not just when you get to the end
No, you don't. Yeah,
of
exactly.
them being in your home. Not that you're done parenting
No, you never will
when
be.
they go out of the house,
Right.
but you just have to be intentional
Absolutely.
about building those relationships.
So, tip number one, listen to them.
So important to just no matter what kids are talking about, make sure that you are listening.
Yeah.
And that starts when they're really little. Like they may tell you a story about their Legos or about something they.
Something that happened at school, or
Mhm.
there's just so many things. Sometimes, and I'm going to say this, sometimes you just need to shut your face.
We almost titled the tip that "Shut Your Face," but I vetoed that.
Yeah, why?
I
Why?
don't know. I don't
I
know.
am. I mean, seriously, when they're talking, especially when they're little, they are saying something,
Yeah.
and you're learning about their way of communication.
Mhm.
And so it really is key to be quiet and listen. Don't shut them off,
Right.
but actually pay attention to what they're saying. And you may not even understand it. You may not,
Sometimes you don't understand the stories when
but
they're little, but you do want them to keep
you want them to keep
talking.
talking. Yeah, don't shut it down. Don't
Right.
stop them from communicating with you.
Right. So in addition to listening, I think this is kind of lumped into tip number 1 is ask them
Yeah.
questions.
Yep.
So that and not just like yes or no questions
No,
because
make them have a dialogue with you. So the
right.
questions you're asking creates a conversation atmosphere for them to be able
Mhm.
to pull information out of them, and then it also builds their ability to have communication with others.
Yes, which is so
So
huge.
key.
So huge that that's a skill they'll use for their whole life
Hmm.
in their
Yeah.
relationships or in their job. So to just conversate with them and um, just have those moments where you're just talking and you're
Yeah.
hearing their heart. So that's
So I
good.
will say, we've talked about this before, being very intentional about having conversation at the dinner table. But let's expand that even a little bit further outside. Do that on the way home from school. Do that on the way to school. Do it on the way to activities that they're having,
Hmm.
so that the conversation isn't just relegated to the conversation at the table at dinner and that's it. Because
True.
then it's just one, maybe in a full hour or an hour and a half of dinner time, they are only speaking about 10 minutes. So again, creating the atmosphere where the conversation is always being had.
That's good.
We've done that. We
That's
have
good.
done that and we consistently do that.
Yes, for sure. All right. Tip number 2 is be quick to apologize
Mm,
to our kids.
yeah.
I think there is a lot of power in that because when you show your kids that you're able to apologize when you're wrong, I think it brings a humility into the
Yeah.
relationship that not that kids are always right. We definitely believe that there's a structure in the home. We've talked about leadership
Hmm.
in our home, and so we definitely believe as parents we are the leaders. But good leaders are humble and they're servants. So,
Ears are attentive,
yeah. So to apologize to your kids, I think shows them that you're willing to acknowledge when you are wrong.
which is hard sometimes.
It can be
Can be
hard,
hard.
especially in emotional conversations.
Yeah, if it's elevated emotions and yeah, and
Hmm.
you're trying to either direct them correctly and then it becomes a heated debate or a, like you said, a high emotion situation. Yes, it can be like authoritative can kind of come in that
Right.
type of emotion can come in like, no, you're going to do what I say. And so again, listening,
Yeah.
being
Listening to them.
that was the first point, but then really going into saying, okay, look, I was wrong. i
Right.
I was wrong in what, however I responded or what maybe I how I said it. And so really just saying I'm sorry.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think one big thing about that is our sensitivity to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And when he highlights something to us that it's like, maybe what you were saying to your child wasn't wrong, but maybe the way
Way
you
you said
said
it,
it,
or yeah,
the
yeah,
way it came across, or just the way it made them feel, it's important to go back to them and say, listen, I am
yeah,
sorry that it came across that way. This is what I meant.
yeah, yeah. So do you have any examples that you might want to share? I am just thinking of maybe one that just happened recently.
Yes. Well, first of all,
Oh man.
I try to be quick to apologize to my kids if I need to, which I think is beautiful because as our kids have grown,
Mm,
I have seen them come to us and say,
yeah.
I'm sorry for my attitude.
Yep.
And in those moments, you're like, oh my goodness, like it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
rewarding.
It is.
But I think it is kind of proof of doing it, of
Yep.
leading that
Leading
example.
exactly. Yep.
So the story though that I had to apologize for
When was
was
this?
like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So see, we
Very, very recent.
don't have things figured out. It's a work in progress.
We know you don't. We're working on you.
Thank you. So our son he was up really late. He had a very busy week. He has lots of activities that have him up early in the
Early in the
morning
morning
and late
and
at
late at
night.
night. Yep.
And so I was waking him up for church actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was difficult to get up that day. So I think I had been in his room 3 times to get him up, which normally I don't do. But that day I had because we had had such a late night. And so I went in there and I said, if I have to wake you up again, you're not going to be able to do something, whatever it was. So I told him, get up and you can then lay back down
Yeah.
because he still had a little bit of time, but I didn't want it to get down to the
To the
very
very
end.
end. Yeah.
So I went by his room and I see that he is still in bed. And I just was like, what is he doing? We have to leave.
Hmm.
So I go in his room and I rip his blanket off of him.
And
And I find that he's fully dressed and ready to go.
teeth are brushed, fully ready to go, walk out the door. He did everything that he was told to do.
What I told him to do,
And he went back to bed
like I told him
like
to
she said he
do.
could.
So he got in trouble well, I mean, I ripped the blanket off of him, which isn't normal. But
No, that's not even normal. Exactly.
no, but when we got in the car, I turned to him and I said, I'm sorry. And he was so gracious
Yeah.
and just said, I forgive you. And we moved on. And he did tell his dad
Yeah. Oh, it was funny because
as
he's
soon
like,
as
hey,
we saw
dad.
him.
Yeah. He's like, hey, dad, guess what happened this morning? And he tells me the story. And of course, he's smiling the whole time as he's telling me, and of course,
Yeah,
she's like, "It happened. That happened."
it
So
did.
it
But
was good though.
testimony of apologizing,
Yeah,
being quick to
absolutely. Very, very
apologize
key.
is
Absolutely.
so important.
Yeah. So tip number 3 is to teach them how to respond and to voice their opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely good. So
Yeah.
we always have required our kids to respond to us when we give them direction or we ask a
Yeah,
question.
we expect them to have a reply back to whatever the question was or whatever the request was, that they have uh, obligation to address and reply to that um, request.
Yeah. And we never were big on like you have to say yes, ma'am, or
Yeah,
yes, sir.
nothing wrong with that.
No,
It's
there's
just
nothing
we
wrong.
didn't do it that route.
Hmm.
We just, if we said their name, we they would reply with they were on their way, they're coming to us, or I'll be right there. It was again a reply. We never had the yes sir or yes ma'am. I won't say that it's bad. It's not bad at all.
No,
It's not wrong.
just wasn't
It's
what
just
we
not our
did.
preference. It's just
Right.
what we didn't do
But
on
that
that.
would be
But
a
that's an
good
example. Yeah, a good
response
response.
from kids. I think though one of the things we added on here to
Yeah.
teach them to respond, but voice their
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And the reason that we thought that was so important is because when we were little, we were not we were little
I
when
was like,
they were
when they
little. When they were little, we always thought, our goal is to teach them for when they leave our home.
Mhm.
And so we don't want people to leave our home. We don't want 18-year-olds or adults to leave our home and only say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir,
Yeah,
or just fully accept the directions, especially if they had a concern
yeah,
or there was something that maybe we didn't know or the person didn't
didn't
know.
know. Yeah,
We wanted to teach our kids to be critical thinkers.
yep, absolutely.
And just going along with anything that's said is not critical
Nope.
thinking.
And there needs to be dialogue in that. So it
Mhm.
really, for us, it was really teaching them how to have dialogue. And like you're saying, have critical thinking.
Right.
Think about it, and then so you'll initially your response or their response is going to be okay or yes, and then it's maybe they have a question or maybe they have a suggestion that they're able to have that be able to be expressed. We've
Yes.
left it open for that so that they can do that again, like you're saying, when they're out of the home,
Mhm.
that they have a brain they can use.
Right, and it's a respectful thing. So we've
Hmm.
really been intentional to
Yeah.
teach them how to respectfully state their opinion
Yep.
or voice a concern.
Yep.
So our like an example of that would be if we tell them to do something and their first response needs to be okay. So we
Yeah.
know that they heard us and they're acknowledging us. And then if they have a concern or a
Yeah.
question, then they can say, Mom or Dad, and then ask
Yeah.
their question.
I mean, a real recent example was someone was doing homework. You requested for them to do something. Initially, they said, okay. And then they said, can I finish what I'm doing, which was some homework
Mhm.
right then?
Yeah.
Can I finish this and then do that? Or do I need to stop this and then go to that? And so it was a very respectful response. It was a very respectful reply. And so that's what we teach our children.
Right.
And that is a tip that we highly recommend
Highly recommend
to,
that.
even it doesn't matter if they're a teenager now, but just teaching them how to implement that into their life.
Right. And I think there's a couple things that are a benefit of that. Number
Yeah.
one, they learn how to have those back and forth
Yep.
respectful
Hmm.
conversations.
Dialogue.
And number two, they see that we do value their concern or their question. But we've also implemented that in that if we say something, we don't have to explain
Oh
ourselves.
yeah, we made that very clear.
Yeah, because there are moments we don't have time to
Yeah.
explain to you why you can't cross the road right now.
Yeah.
That is not
Or
time
yeah.
for a conversation to explain to a little one why you can't cross the road. You've got to obey.
Yeah.
But as things go on, you do have moments that you can.
Open it up a little bit more, and as they become more mature and more understanding, as they're getting into adulthood and
Right.
growing up. I mean,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so that is tip number
Tip number three,
three is to teach them to respond and to
to
voice their
voice their
opinion.
opinion.
Tip number four is be available to them.
Man, that is good. That is right where we are right now. Every one of our kids in these teenage years are they want to have a conversation and it has to be at 10:30 or later.
It's true.
It's like,
It is.
what is going on here? Don't you know we're getting older? We need to sleep.
Yeah, so I think the important thing is whatever stage of life
Yeah,
you're in is to have those times where you're available.
available. Yep.
It's hard. We all know that parenting is tough. We are tired,
Yeah.
but it's so
As a matter
important
of fact, I'm
to
gonna go take a nap as soon as we're done with this.
it's so important for us though to not be so distracted by anything
Yeah. Yeah.
to then not be
Mhm.
available for our kids
Yep.
because they can tell if you're distracted.
I'm going to bring something up because when you were saying that, I literally thought about our daughter coming to me. I was doing something. I don't know if it was work wise, but I was on the computer and the our daughter came and asked a question either to listen to something or to do something. I couldn't recall what it was. And actually, you jumped in and you actually said, "Hey, wait 1 second," because he's going to finish what he's doing because he's on this train of thought. And then it was like, okay, once I got done, and full attention was
Hmm.
given to whatever it was she was wanting to show me, tell me,
Right.
sing for me, whatever it was. But that was just recently,
Hmm.
that just happened. And
Right.
so just again being available, that was just a small example of it. But we kind of go back to the first example, and that's late at night. It seems like they all want to talk now at late at night.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
true.
but being there with a listening ear and being attentive to what it is they're saying.
Right. Well, and I think we all like in those moments when you're tired
Mm,
and but your kid is talking, I think you have to like check yourself because would you prefer that
yeah.
they are not talking to you?
Mm.
And I know the answer is no.
No, yeah, that's
You
not.
want
Yeah,
them to be talking.
yeah.
So notice when they're talking and be
Be
available.
available. Yeah.
Be there to listen, to have those conversations. I think it's funny because all of these kind of tie together, all
They
of these
kind of
tips.
do actually. I mean, we didn't even like plan this part out, but
No,
they really do kind of almost in sync with each other.
they really,
Huh.
they
It's
really
good.
are.
It's good.
So yeah, be available
Available. Yeah.
when your kids are talking. You make sure that you are listening.
So tip number 5 is to create moments with your kids.
Yeah. This is
Big.
a like we love being intentional.
Yeah.
And this is one where you're just being intentional with your time
Hmm.
with your kids. And I know like this ties right back into being available,
Available. Yeah.
noticing when your kids are talking. Sometimes that's late at night, but also some of our kids talk when they are driving or when
Yeah.
they're a passenger
Hmm.
in the car, which we're pretty intentional about. Like phones need to be away
Oh, absolutely.
in the car,
Yep.
100%, but a lot
But a
of the
lot of
time.
time. Yeah. Yeah. I actually have called that out and like, hey, put that down. We're talking.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but you have that moment, those
Those
moments of
times. Yep.
time that, some more than others, some kids more than others talk during that time.
Yep.
But that is a good just thing to notice. When is your kid talking? What are they doing when they kind of open up and talk?
So examples of that is when Shelby's actually asked me to go get milk, and I'll just grab one of them. I'll just say, "Hey," and then we'll run to the store to go get milk. At a 10 maybe minute conversation, but it is a time where originally they'd be sitting and doing something else and not having a conversation, and I'm opening up an opportunity for us just to
Hmm.
have a conversation. And then right when it's usually dinner time, that's usually when you're like, go get milk or go get this or something of that sort.
Yep.
Um, we don't plan out very well when it comes to that stuff.
We do plan.
No.
I need my coffee in the morning, so
That
we
for
do
sure.
not run out of milk
That's
at
why we
night.
have to go get milk at night so that we're not missing it in the morning. But that being said, we come back from the store and that conversation literally goes right into most of our dinner conversation when we're
Yeah.
sitting around the table. So it becomes an even more drawn out conversation, more opening up. I mean, it's just a good conversation, and then everybody else gets involved in it.
Yes.
So
Well, and usually the kid that Chris will grab, or I will, but when Chris says, "Hey, come with me to the store," they usually know there might be sugar involved
well, okay, if
because
I'm
they know
going,
dad.
yeah, I was gonna say that if I'm going to the store, they're like, yeah, you're thinking
Right?
I'm gonna get this, so I might be able to get that, you know. So, and there are times where I'm like, no, 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 we're not doing that. But probably 9 out of 10 times, you want to go to the store with me,
Yeah, it's
you do.
true.
You want to go with me?
It's true. So are we saying you should bribe your children? This is
Oh,
what we've come.
yes.
No,
No,
this is
no.
5 tips, not 6.
That's good. I like it.
So we've talked a lot about our 5 or 6 tips to creating those relationships with your kids. So we are interested.
We want to know what you guys, what your kinds of experiences are, and what you do to create relationship with your kids. That's what we are interested in. So, for sure, contact us. Put it into the chat. We want to hear what examples you guys have and how you're doing it as well.